Alrighty, friends. We've got an interesting pair of service boots today. These are J.Crew service boots. And, in this journey of getting into boots and appreciating finer details about boots, you tend to, being made in the USA is really important. In fact, it was really important to me from the beginning. It's sort of I almost like cared about that more than quality at first, maybe. Simultaneously, I got into Chippewa boots. I learned that I can get into a Chippewa boot for not too much money, especially in the used market or at Sierra. And I got into a Goodyear welted, really good quality boot. But I find that there's an interesting man. All the words are confusing it. There's an interesting I don't want to say movement, but more and more companies are getting closer to making high quality boots. More. I don't know if J.Crew is quite a mall brand, but you do find them in malls, and they are kind of your average American's luxury purveyor. Of somewhat finer goods, and to see even them kind of, I would say. I don't, not being forced, but having enough people, them having a feeling of, well, our customer is starting to demand a better boot. We can no longer sell our customer, cemented boots with kind of really mediocre leather. Otherwise, they're going to go elsewhere. So, you're seeing this with brands like Brooks Brothers. The only brand that's really holding out that's still kind of making, I was going to say Ralph Lauren. Ralph Lauren still has kind of nice looking boots that are actually quite trash. Like they're $195 in their cement construction. But even in the Polo Ralph Lauren label, you're already seeing kind of better quality boots that are welted, etc. So, it's just an interesting movement. So let's take this boot apart first. So let me just say, kind of to me, the shining qualities of it are CF Stead suede. So suede that's from England, really really nice Vibram sole. A Goodyear flat 360-degree leather welt. Really, really just impeccable, beautiful stitching. A lovely backstay. And that's about it, okay? Really a nice kind of French, is that a French bind, French seam on the top. Kind of your average foot last, which I like. It's uninteresting, but in a good way, I would say. Brass eyelets and speed hooks, waxed cotton laces, and there you go. Double stitching kind of throughout, triple stitching in the back, quadruple actually. A very, very handsome, simple boot. And if you get this boot, this can last you a long time. Almost your lifetime. I mean, if you take good care of it and you have this amongst another boot, you could have this your whole life. It feels solid. It feels tough. It's leather lined, and some nice gold foil in there, and yeah, beautiful, very very elegant leather lining. Very very nice glove leather lining. Feels high quality. This boot feels like a really nice boot. What makes it a cheaper boot is the fact that it's made in China, and I'm sure there's a bunch of synthetics on the inside. From what I can tell, there's, if I had to guess, it's it's a leather top. It's the lining leather topped foam glued down insole. Probably a leather fiberboard midsole, and then it looks like a rubber. Or insole, under the insert, and then a rubber midsole, and then a Vibram outsole with a beautiful leather welt. I wish they didn't kind of black out the welt, but then again, maybe that does help them. They are a brand like J.Crew just needs to be unimaginably uniform. Again, that's why suede is actually a very smart material to use. They did mess around with Waxy Commander from CF Stead a few years ago, and I saw in the reviews a bunch of them were like, this thing came all scratched up. It's like, that's what Waxy Commander is, man. You just brush it a little bit and it'll buff out. So for their customer base, I think this is almost like the best case scenario. They do have a beautiful shoulder leather that I believe is from CF Stead as well. That's real nice. For some reason, in those boots, they don't name them as CF Stead, but they say from a tannery in England that's been making this for years. It's like, okay, it's probably CF Stead. And if not, it's another reputable, fine tannery. So, how much are these boots? I don't know. It's kind of a trick question. The retail is like $370 now, or $350, or something funny like that. But J.Crew has sales all the time. I mean, 30% off is just a given. It's like at least once a month, there's going to be a week that's 30% off. But for the most part, you can actually find J.Crew's boots for a lot less. We're talking in the 100s. So like 100 to 175, I think, is an amazing deal for these boots. Now, to get into the ethics, in a way, I would rather get an imported boot from J.Crew. Their reputation is at stake. Their cotton comes from the certified cotton thing, and different. J.Crew is doing a relatively good job on sourcing their stuff from factories that have a certain kind of, a certain amount of certification, that they're not just dumping stuff into our rivers, into their rivers overseas, and that their employees are being treated well, and then you kind of get into. Really, all this boot is like, it's a great quality service boot. There's something fine about them in a way. Oh, man, I hate saying this, but in a way, like, this is a better boot than Allen Edmonds, I would say, for the most part. Not always. Now, Allen Edmonds has the history. I love the state of Wisconsin. There's more romance in an Allen Edmonds boot. But as far as like the finishing on this is really, really clean and beautiful. I can't really say the same for most Allen Edmonds boots. Really nice suede, really nice pattern. It's unoffensive. You could say, it's unoffensive. You could say it's uninteresting, but hey, buddy, come here. She hates these boots. She's like, they're not made in the USA. Come on, like, what are we even doing? Yeah. And then last thing I'll say is that there's a new version of this boot, or a new colorway, that's just stunning. It's a beautiful, beautiful light kind of brown suede that's just real nice. So these boots to me are another version of maybe my first few boots that I got from Sierra Trading Post that were Chippewas, where they were my first Goodyear welted boots that I very easily could have, and actually I do have one of my kind of earlier Chippewa service boots. They are right here, that I still wear all the time, that I love. And these were like $100. I think these were like closeout on Amazon, I think. These J.Crew service boots, to me, I like that I think they can get people, both on purpose and by accident, into higher quality footwear, into a beautiful boot. And again, when you're taking apart the components, the components are amazing, are wonderful. This is a beautiful, vibrant V-bar outsole, and, really just the welt just feels nice. It just feels, it feels sturdy. It feels reliable. The stitching is just baked in there and beautifully done. Very, very smooth. There's no, in some ways there's no imperfection. The welt joint is not bad at all. It's not perfect, but it's not terrible. This is a really, really nice boot. And this boot will last you a very long time, and yeah, CF Stead leather, I want to say Italian leather glove lining, but I might be making that up. So I like the idea of someone going into J.Crew, finding these for $220 or even less, $150. There's my cat. And by accident, maybe, and doesn't know much about boots, because these look nice. They feel heavy and robust, but they're still comfortable underfoot because of that foam insole. They don't know why, but they're trying on this boot, and they walk out of the store going, "Hey, I just got a nice boot, $200." And 4 years down the road, or 2 years down the road, maybe it's their only boots. They're wearing it a lot. They're wearing it through the winter, and it's actually getting, worn beautifully. And they wear through this heel, and they take it to a cobbler, and the cobbler goes, this this boot's like built really nicely. Maybe, let's keep going with the story. Maybe it's their local cobbler, and the last boot they brought them was like a Steve Madden shoe or a Cole Haan, and the cobbler knows that because this is the 1980s when your cobbler still remembers what shoes you bring them. But maybe, maybe the exception, they have a nice relationship, and the cobbler goes, this is a much better boot, and the guy goes, oh well, I didn't know that, and all of a sudden this person's getting 10 years of wear or more out of a boot, that they didn't even intentionally buy such a good quality boot. So I like that. These are accidentally very high quality. And then for people like us who are, let's say a little bit more obsessed and nerd out about boots, it's just, I think it's a good thing. I think it's a good thing for all boot makers. I don't think these boots are competing with Old Speed or even Grant Stone. I mean, they are trying to compete with part of Grant Stone's market, but I think for the most part, it's going to the J.Crew customer who would actually get any J.Crew boot. And then on the margins but maybe that customer's doing a little bit more research. That customer's doing a little bit more research, and and is now demanding a welted shoe, is demanding a Vibram outsole, is demanding leather from a tannery that they've heard of. It's a good sign. It's a good sign for footwear, if mall brands are making higher quality stuff. Same when like Gap has salvage denim. It's just a good thing, So there you go. J.Crew service boots, or whatever they call this, work boots, field boots, I think they call it. They've got a few more. They have a new colorway this year that's real nice. They have the leather the brown leather shoulder, or whatever they call it. That's real nice too. Don't get it full price. I'm still not the worst deal. I would say, yeah, you just could get it for cheaper. But if you do buy it for $350, are there better deals out there? Yes. Should you get a Grant Stone or a Red Wing over that? Absolutely. Or a Caswell, or add another 150 or so or $200 and get an Old Speed? Of course. However, you'd still be getting a good quality boot that should last you for at least a decade, and that's nice. That makes me happy. So there you go. J.Crew work boots, field boots, whatever you're gonna call these, and God bless them. If you have a different perspective, I'd love to hear it. But I think it's just a good sign. It's a good sign when you're seeing more welted boots. It makes me feel like cobblers will stay in business longer. Because the more of the cemented garbage, the less cobbling is going to be happening. So that makes me happy. Anyway, hope you have a great day. Enjoy the fall. Enjoy autumn. It's autumn over here, and I'm just absolutely loving it. The air's getting cooler, and I'd say I could start wearing boots again, but I wear boots all summer long. But it is real nice. It's definitely boot weather. All right, all weather's boot weather. God bless you. Thanks for listening. Have a great day.